Hey guys, Scott Dispel here, dispelmusic.com. Today, the final update and story behind the Inferno album. Woo-wee! Hey guys, Scott Dispel here, dispelmusic.com. Welcome to our humble studio here on the shores of the Cuyahoga River, an old Indian name, and the Cuyahoga River flows into the Great Lake Erie, and it is the new moon. And during the new moon, the lycanthropes rest, and the harpies scramble for mortal flesh so they can store it up for the coming winter, because we are in autumn, but right now it's what's called Indian summer because it's been like 70-degree weather in October, and the leaves have changed and they're red and orange and brown and yellow. It's a very beautiful time to be in Northeast Ohio or northeast of America. So it's a beautiful place during this time of year, and it's almost worth putting up with the snow because the fall and autumn are so beautiful. So that's what it is. But anyways, if you like anything Gothic, medieval, fantasy, you're in the right spot. We love Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, Lord of the Rings. We love Vikings and chainmail and battle axes and swords and lore and mythology and what's behind the veil. We love all those things. So if that's what you love, you're in the right spot. That's what inspires us, and that's what we write our music about. So let's get it on. So today we're going to talk about the Inferno album. The Inferno album is based on Dante's Inferno, and we've been working on it for 2.5 years. The majority of it we worked on during lockdown because we wanted to make that time precious. Time is precious. So we really dove into that when we couldn't work because of the draconian lockdowns. But anyways, I'm happy to say, obviously, we have CDs in hand. So it's been a long time coming. It's a real long story. But originally, we ordered a batch of CDs months ago. And the company, which is going to go nameless, would not work with us because what I did is I got the CD, played in my vehicle fine, played it in a couple CD players okay. I just happened to be working in my garage. I put it into my CD player there, it wouldn't work. I put it into another CD player, it wouldn't work. So I contacted them, hey, your CDs don't play in all CD players. And after a few emails back and forth and another batch of CDs, the problem wasn't fixed. I expressed my concern with them, and they basically told me to go pound sand. So great customer service there. So I'm certainly not going to support a company who is half-assing it, and I'm not going to send a CD to our customers if the CD's not going to play. So we went with a more reputable CD company. This is from a company called Bison CDs. They're really great to work with. I think they did a fantastic job of the layout. And by going with them, we are able to do a multiple page insert. And we've got this beautiful piece of art in the center. A gatefold in a CD. Who does that? Nobody. So this is what you'll get if you ordered a CD and a nice collage of some of our great moments. So everything happens for a reason, so it was worth spending the extra money to get this nice package. So I'm happy to say CDs have gone out to our Kickstarter supporters. So far, the Squires Pledge got their digital downloads, and I just mailed out CDs to the Ranger pledges. And then next we're working on the Cavaliers and the Paladins, and some of those pledges included vinyl. The vinyl has been ordered. I've placed a deposit. We're going to order 200 units, and they are going to be splatter colored vinyl. It's going to be a red transparent base with a violet splatter pattern on top of it. They're going to be beautiful. There's only going to be 200 pressed. That's the first press. After that's 200, that's it. Now, whether we do additional presses, we'll see, but there will be no more of that splatter pattern. So I think it's very beautiful. I love collecting records. I absolutely adore colored vinyl. One of my first albums of colored vinyl was a Cramps album. Maybe you've heard of the Cramps. Like this old psychobilly punk rock band. They're fantastic. Their best album, in my opinion, is called Bad Music for Bad People. So look it up. It's like psychobilly. I love it. But anyways, I bought their album at a local record store, and it looked kind of like, almost like a bootleg. I opened it up, and it was red transparent vinyl, and I was like blown away. So I wanted to give that experience to you guys. So that's why we ordered color vinyl. It cost a lot extra and a lot in setup, and they throw fees for this and that and setup charge and additional color, but in the long run I really want to have a good quality product, and I think it's worth going the extra mile, because I know a lot of rock and rollers out there like myself are also collectors, and yes, a good package means a lot. So boom. So the CDs are available. I will put a link below. You can go to our website, dispelmusic.com, and under the menu heading of albums, there's a drop down. Our first album is Lore. Our second album is Inferno. You can click on either one of those if you want to order, but if you click on the Inferno, it'll take you to the page to order the CD, and you could also order the vinyl. I am told the vinyl is going to take a few months to be pressed. They are experiencing shortages due to supply chain issues, and you can thank a lot of bureaucrats for causing these supply chain issues across the board. I'm not going to dive into that, but certainly there's this great tool called the interweb, and you can research anything you think seems confusing right now. So we're going to leave it at that. So it's especially difficult for bands because the lockdown prevented us from touring Germany. It prevented us from promoting our first album, Lore, with live shows. And so we used that time to write the majority of the Inferno album. It was a labor of love. We wanted to take our time, made sure we did it justice, because it's a literary masterpiece, and it's a pretty big swing. We took a big swing going for that. But, you know, like I've said in past videos, I believe with Ravensea at the helm, her voice is world class. I've been doing this for 30 years. I studied music as well. That we were going to take it on, we were going to tackle it, and we were going to come out victorious with a memorable album. So let's get into it. So this is the last video we're going to do about the Inferno album. I've done a video for every song or every level of mortal sin in the Inferno. So today is going to be the final installment as a primer for the Inferno album. And today we're going to talk about Treachery. So I've already talked about, what do we got here? Lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, and finally treachery. So today we're going to talk about treachery. This is the deepest level of the Inferno. Now what we called it on the album is Cistern of Treachery, because Dante describes it as like almost like a huge bowl, a cavern. So we decided to call it a cistern, like a big cistern. And it's a frozen lake, bone cold. And inside the frozen lake are the people who've committed treachery in their life. And of course, there's two that are legendary, the most well-known, the most insidious, the most criminal, and the most disgusting of humans would be Judas Iscariot, who gave up Yeshua or Jesus for a handful of silver. And then you have Brutus, who plotted and killed Julius Caesar. And in fact, there was a coin minted by Brutus after the assassination. And those coins are very rare, and they go for a lot of money now. But I mean, the arrogance that he would press up a coin and, yeah, I killed Julius Caesar on the Ides of March. So yeah, the hubris of humans has not changed. Human nature does not change. This is why it's so important to study history, because right now we're repeating so many mistakes, and there's some, I fear there's some hard times ahead. So please be prepared. Make sure you have lots of extra food and fuel. Maybe you have a wood burner or a fireplace. It might be a really good time to think about those things if you haven't already. So I just want you guys to be safe. Because we love medieval fantasy and Gothic culture and architecture, there is a huge element of history involved with that. So being a history nerd is part of that equation. Well, when you study history, you gain wisdom because you learn from the past. You learn from past mistakes. Mankind continually makes mistakes, and a lot of the times they are the same mistakes because human nature does not change. That's why we decided to do the Inferno album and talk about lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, and treachery, because they're still with us today. So, kind of a profound thing. Crazy timing on this band. The first album we released, Lore, it was the lockdowns. And the second album we released, Inferno, and we're on the verge of a thermonuclear war. So great times. But hey, here we are. We're going to make the best of it. We're going to try and put a positive spin on it because we're trying to educate and awaken your intuition and just share some of the great works of past ages. So for those of you who did support us on the Kickstarter, you funded this album. You made it possible. So for you guys, you'll be getting a packet, which will include a patch, 2 guitar picks, custom guitar picks, and a custom foil hologram playing card of Dispel, because we are gaming nerds and we love Magic the Gathering. So I hope to be playing some Commander in a couple weeks. Very excited. So not as cool as Post Malone, but we do love Magic as well. And for those of you who are interested, we also have custom gaming dice because we love Dungeons and Dragons too. And I'm happy to say we're going to be starting our campaign up in January. I just heard from our DM. So on the dice, we have the custom Dispel on the 6-sider. I don't know if you could see that, but custom Dispel. And then on the 10-sider, we've got a custom helmet. So cool stuff. These are beautiful dice. Beautiful, beautiful dice. And these are from our friends at Chessex Gaming Dice. So Chessex made these quality dice for us. So they are available on our website. And we're happy to say we sent out some dice to some of our fans who placed orders with the Rangers pledges. So thank you very much to you guys. And we also have patches available and custom guitar picks. So what I'm doing is anybody who did a pre-order through PayPal is also going to get a guitar pick and is also going to get the custom hologram card. It's just my way of saying thank you for pre-ordering and helping us out. I still have some of these left over, so what I'm going to do is orders that keep coming in, I'm going to be throwing extra stuff in there until I run out. So, you know, I like to give back to our fans. You know, it's nice to know that we created this music that we most wanted to hear, and it's resonating with other people. That really means a lot to me. So I'm going to throw in bonus stuff if I have it available until supplies last. How's that? All right, I got a bonus for you guys. This is unscripted. But for joining us, you're going to get to see our mascot. Look at that. This is Suki, the black cat. Suki was adopted from an animal rescue called the APL here in Cleveland. So yes, we love black cats because we're Gothic. Say hi. All right, there we go. Little cameo. All right, guys, so let's talk about treachery. And according to Dante, this is the worst of the mortal sins. And I think the betrayal, the treachery of Judas Iscariot selling out Yeshua or Jesus is the worst example and the worst example of human greed and ignorance and folly, all for, a handful of silver. And the problem is that handful of silver still causes so many people to sell one another out. The corruption, I think, that's surrounding us and we're living through is an example of that, and it's in so many facets. And all you really need to do is hone your discernment, and discernment is kind of like navigating for truth. You want to discern things when people are talking to you. You want to discern if they're being truthful. If you see something on TV may not seem right to you, something seems wrong or off, that's your discernment telling you, just because they're on TV and they're giving you a narrative doesn't necessarily mean it's truth. They could be paid off from that handful of silver to tell you something that benefits others but not you or us. So just be very aware. Trust your intuition. Develop your discernment. It's so key, especially now. And just develop your discernment. You want to be able to tell if someone's telling the truth. And a great way to practice this is by the TV, because you see people on TV who are authority figures telling you something, but it doesn't seem right. Something seems off. Well, that's your discernment telling you this is a bunch of bullshit. So you need to develop your discernment. Connect with your intuition. You want to seek truth. You want to try and be a good person, so try to eliminate a lot of those bad tendencies or habits so you can see a little more clearly. It's very imperative now. We're all being challenged and winners upon us. And I think there's going to be a lot of truth seeking and a lot of people realizing, hey, we were misled down the wrong path because I'm freezing right now. So we don't want you to be in that situation. But I digress. I love to talk about current topics. And when I grew up listening to music, when I really got involved with music, the message behind it, the artwork, the imagery, put it all together, it was early punk rock bands. Bands like Agnostic Front or Cro-Mags or MDC or Dead Kennedys. Punk rock was very political. Basically bitching about the inadequacies of society and corporations and governments and greed and corruption getting out of control. And that leads us right to Dante's Inferno, because Again, we're talking about lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, violence, fraud, heresy, treachery. Like, all those things can be influenced by a handful of silver. So treachery is awful. So you do not want to engage in any type of treachery, especially against those you love, those you care about, which could really bring up the topic of relationships and maybe divorces and all that. I think there's a huge element of treachery there, and it really comes down to integrity. So once again, human nature does not change. We are all subject to these terrible mortal sins, and we've really got to be vigilant to avoid them. So it's really a challenge. So part of the reason we put out the Inferno album was, again, to tell a story, honor the works of past ages, but Dante's message was so important, and we're trying to revitalize that message, that you don't want to participate in lust, gluttony, greed, wrath, heresy, violence, fraud, or treachery. According to Dante, it's this big cavern. In the bottom of this cavern, there's this big pool of ice. And those who are treacherous are stuck, frozen fast in this pool of ice. And inside this pool of ice, on top of it, is the source of all sorrow, the fallen angel himself, Satan. Now, Satan, according to Dante, has 6 eyes. So he's really got 3 heads, 3 mouths, 6 eyes. So it's his head is like this disgusting image of 3 faces merged. And he's crying because he's fallen from his master. He's a fallen angel, so he's the source of sorrow. He screwed up. He's crying because he's fallen from his creator, his master. And so he's pissed off, crying, and what he's doing is he's endlessly gnawing and eating on Judas Iscariot, chomping on him, foam, blood, tears rolling down his face. So that's the deepest well of hell. So, in Dante's Inferno, to get there, they see these giants in the distance. And these giants are the fallen giants that are in the Bible. The fallen giants, the sons of gods, according to Greek mythology. So these were the sons of the earth, but they were evil. Maybe these were the Nephilim. Maybe you heard of that, the giants. David and Goliath. Goliath was a giant. So, Suki's back for another cameo. Say hi to the fans. Hey! So, they pass these giants and get into the cistern and witness the source of all sorrow. And at that point, their souls are frozen, Dante and Virgil, because beholding such evil incarnate completely takes all hope out of their souls. And that's why it says, abandon all hope, ye who enter here over the gates of hell. So, real problem. They're stuck in the cistern of sorrow, of treachery, with the most treacherous humans that ever existed on this planet. That's a problem. But in their deepest despair, they saw a secret passage. So they escape past the beating wings of Satan into this passage. And they start this long descent back up through the center of eternity, the center of the earth, to escape hell. So what we did is we wanted to include that in the album. Now, escaping is not a mortal sin, but it's a very interesting part of the story. So we added an extra song. It's called The Escape Epilogue, and it's narrated by Barry Gelderbloom, who actually was the artist who did this beautiful insert. And Barry also did the back of the album, so he's a very, very talented individual. And we had him do the narrative because he's from South Africa. He's got this great South African accent. He's a South Afrikaan, and they have this dialect, and I believe it's part Dutch. So we had him use part of that South Afrikaans dialect in the narrative, explaining how us going through Dante's Inferno, that's you, the listener, and the tour guide Ravensea, as we're your tour guides going into Dante's Inferno, because we're following in the footsteps of Dante and Virgil. We're following in their footsteps. So this is our journey to relearn these mortal sins so we don't make these mistakes. And we learn and we come out wiser. So we did the escape epilogue. So we just don't go into Dante's Inferno when we're stuck. We got to get an escape route. So we got an escape route. It's the epilogue, and I'm going to play a little snippet of that. Actually, scratch that. I'm going to play some of the song Cistern of Treachery. And then you're going to have to get the album or the CD to hear the escape epilogue, because I think it's really cool. And if you heard our first album, Lore, we like to do some really medieval sounding chant or Gothic choral things. So we did that to end the album. And I think that's just one of our signature styles. And when I want to game or play Dungeons and Dragons, nothing gets me in the mood like medieval choral music or sacred choral music. It's just boom, cuts right to my soul, and it's game on. So that's what that's all about. So thank you for following us on this primer to the Inferno album. All the videos are on our YouTube channel, Dispel Music. Just search Dispel Music, and we go through each one of the deadly sins, and at the end of the video we play a snippet of the song, which I will do today as well. So I've talked enough. Thank you so much for supporting us. Our new friends, our fans. We consider our fans our friends. I communicate. People send me emails. I respond to emails. Now we're talking about, hey, we went to the pub and I went and seen this show. I've got friends in the UK that email me on a regular basis. I'd love to hear from you. Even if you could just respond, make a comment here, I'll respond. Reach out to us on Facebook. I do a lot of posts on Facebook, so plenty of opportunities to leave a little comment or a little meme or emoji or anything. We just like to know people are out there appreciating what we're doing. It helps to keep us going, because, you know, this is a lot of work, and, you know, quite frankly, we're lucky to break even. Thousands of dollars in the hole. So that's enough. I'll talk forever. And yes, Inferno album is available now. We still do have a few extra cards and guitar picks available. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be including those with all orders. Probably, I think I have enough probably for another month's worth of orders. If we were to get an order every day, I probably got 30 to 50 of these left, maybe 100 of the guitar picks. But I'll keep throwing in extra stuff with it, all the orders. Of course, the Kickstarter supporters get all the good stuff because they believed in us from the get-go. But the fact that if you want to join this musical adventure, we want to have you. We'd love to have you. And I think by watching these videos and seeing what we try to come up with, or what we do come up with, we are 100% committed to not only the music, but the message and the imagery is so important to us as well. So thank you.
Turn your back upon the dismal valley. Speak not a word into the shadow. Giants in the distance jeering. The sons of Earth defeated.